So I've been curious about this for a while. Were there any cutscenes that you ended up removing or didn't make it into the game simply for pacing or time restraints?
Yeah, you want to, should I give you this Easter egg? Because the lore people will go crazy. Let's do it, Cynic.
Hugo Martin's been on a giant PR tour hitting up all the Doom channels, and I was fortunate enough to be one of those that got the opportunity to sit down and talk with him. Now, this is actually episode 2. If you want to see 1, you can click up on the little eye in the top right hand corner. In this episode, we're going to pick up right where the last one left off, talking about Doom 2016, the criticisms that game received, and how that impacted Eternal. We also touch on how cutscenes came to be in Doom Eternal, Hugo Martin's favorite underrated levels, which could hint at some potential master levels, and then, as you've seen, a cutscene that didn't make it into Doom Eternal that exposes quite a bit of lore that's never been shared before. We even talk a little bit about the upcoming master levels, some things to expect, get your expectations in order, and then finally, for console players, I do ask about potentially mouse and keyboard support. So those that have been curious about that, you can finally hear Hugo's direct response to it. But of course, nothing to announce. This was just his personal opinion, nothing more. As you'll hear him say, priorities are something that are a big thing going on with id right now, and rightfully so. But without further ado, enjoy. Going back a little bit to Doom 2016, what were some of the criticisms that you paid close attention to help influence at least the playstyle of Doom Eternal?
I like the hateful comments, those are the ones like, this is boring. One of the worst things your game could be is kind of boring. That's it. You could, look, I don't want anybody to not enjoy Eternal, but there's kind of 2 ways that people, reject the game. One is where they get it and they just pass through it, which is those people never come back. Like when they're, oh my God, but didn't you think the thing? And you're like, yeah, I did all that stuff. I know the game. I know the loop. Like, it's kind of boring. What do you want me to say? Like, what? That's it. That person is never coming back. If someone bounces off something because it was a high skill experience, there was depth. Hey, I played Fortnite for a while, tried to play Warzone, bounced off it pretty hard. I don't know, League of Legends, pretty complicated. There is a chance that you will get that person back. There is a chance, not always, but like, your videos on that, I'm like, that's it. Like, that's what we wanted to do. I would say there is a audience, that person that I wanted to zero in on, and you're among that audience, like the person who liked 2016 but passed through it.
But it was worth the risk, I assure you.
So you and id obviously went out of your comfort zone with introducing cutscenes, something foreign to the whole Doom brand. How exactly did that come to be? Is that something that you guys wanted to do since Doom 2016?
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, who doesn't want to fire Doom guy through a cannon and blow up the surface of Mars? That's it. Like the opening of Amora, like that's all we want to do is just dope shit. To make you feel awesome, to take you to cool places and have you doing cool things. And you could do cooler things when you do cutscenes. Now, it's funny. I love the love for 2016's narrative. I think it's great. I was there for every bit of it. I wrote it. I worked on it just like I worked on Eternal. I can promise you that the love was not the way it is now, 3 months from launch. There were a lot of people who had a lot to say about the narrative of Doom 2016. I was there. I read it all, and a fair criticism was you were locked in a room to listen to people talk several times.
I feel I should apologize for what's happened here.
And that was not, I cringed when that happened. I cringed during development. I did the best I could. We all did, to make those experiences short, sweet, memorable, but like you are physically locked in place, and that's not a good thing, so with the cutscenes, we're able to move you through the experience. I think they're just more entertaining. Like every cutscene in Doom Eternal, it just kind of flies by, and it's interesting and cool shit happens, and you get to see how tough he is and stuff, and then you just move on. And you can skip them. You couldn't skip them in 2016 because they were first person. So there's just a lot of reasons why a third person cutscene was required, I think, to just make a better experience, honestly. The scope of the game was able to get larger, and we were able to take you to cooler places and do just more stuff with the player because of the cutscenes. The cool thing about, you talk about execution on that, is that I worked at Blur, so I made cinematics for 3-4 years at Blur. with that incredible team. And then Jason Martin, our lead character artist, he was lead character artist at Blur, so he has that built-in knowledge of how to make game cinematics because we did tons of them. Then Tony Garza, our art director, he's from Real Effects. He made a lot of cinematics. Ben Durkin, our lead rigger technical animator, he worked at Blur and other places, so he knows how to do that. So quietly, without meaning to, we hired a team that can make video games and game cinematics. And so we don't even have a cinematics team. We actually do that stuff with the same team, but we all just know how to do it. So without even trying, it's not it's just, I don't want to say easy for us, but it's pretty easy for us because that's what we all did for 4 years. So we just basically reconstructed the pipelines that we've worked under, and we're able to. I mean, Amora is crazy, and that's a DLC. The stuff that's happening in that cinematic is nuts. And yeah, that's all in game. No pre-rendered. We didn't have to ship it. Not that I knock any game that does that. Different games. Not saying it's better, but for us, really wanted to keep everything in game. That's all in game. So we're really proud of that fact. And I think right now, actually, we're evolving even further. I think it's there's some really cool things that we could do, certainly, and we ain't done yet, I think, in terms of the quality of things that we could execute on across the board, not just cinematics. So I think, that's been a really, it's been a fun development at id Software, for sure.
That's awesome. Definitely excited to see more of what you guys can do. But while on the topic of cutscenes, so I've been curious about this for a while. Were there any cutscenes that you ended up removing or didn't make it into the game simply for pacing or time restraints?
Yeah, you want to, should I give you this Easter egg? Because the lore people will go crazy. Let's do it, Cynic. So Valen was going to get killed. He was going to get killed by Devoth. Devoth was going to show up, and they were going to have a really quick fight, and Devoth was going to drop him, after he'd been resurrected. And then I entertained even possibly harm coming to the intern, which I gotta be honest, that will never happen. That did not age well. And then and honestly the Valen one, just don't have time. Just didn't feel right, not enough time. We have the issue that an action movie has, where Pacific Rim is an awesome movie and there's not a lot of time to develop the characters because we got to develop the robots. You know what I mean? It's about investing screen time into the premise and setting up the fiction to allow the robots to fight, so, and that precious screen time comes out of the character development.
So I'm known within, my own little portion of Doom's community as being a console player. So just out of curiosity, have you guys ever kicked around the idea of potentially mouse and keyboard support on console, or is that just not even an option because of invasion mode and even, battle mode?
I can't say, honestly, because the policy of no announcements, which is legit, but I'll give you my opinion. I think console's about playing with a controller, and I would worry a lot about the meta, particularly with battle mode, but just in general, of the experience dramatically changing if we did that. But it's part of a larger discussion. I would want to talk with Marty and have a larger discussion, the implications, all kinds of things. So nothing to announce. Respect and love mouse and keyboard. I'm a mouse and keyboard player myself. I'm not very good. I'm better with the controller in Eternal. I just definitely am. But yeah, I think it's something that we could discuss, but nothing to announce at this time.
On console, I enjoy it the same way, but I think console players watch PC and there's a little bit of envy there.
I think the experience, that's the thing. I think the experience feels amazing on a controller. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm playing all the time, even on a base controller, and I love it. So yes, I get it. Like, certainly there are advantages to mouse and keyboard. So like, it's just part of the experience. But like I said, let's just talk about it. But also let's talk about other things like controller configurations and inputs to allow you to quick swap amongst power weapons on the controller. I mean, that's something that we want to talk about. You know, again, nothing to announce, but like among the many suggestions that have flown around there, like that's a good one. And you guys have come up with some fucking cool shit for that. Like, you know, I don't know. I've heard some killer suggestions where me and Peter Sokol, our lead, game designer, I'm just like, yeah, man, that's pretty awesome. Like, we should do that. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, all you can really ask for is the conversation. You know, the idea is known, and
Oh, that's it.
yeah, that's all I wanted to know.
That's really it. Yeah, for us, what it always comes down to, my most honest answer that I could give you is priorities, and does that take priority over Battle Mode 2.0, over the Master Level, over like, whatever else it is that we have in development, and that's really it. Like, there's no question that adding inputs to the controller to allow you to quick swap 100%, but like, does that take priority over other things announced or unannounced that we know you guys would really love? That's the thing that we always just measure against. But we're always listening, and we totally. I mean, I wish we could do it all.
So again, just kind of jumping around, trying to hit questions that haven't been asked before. But we hear a lot of appraisal for Mars Core and Super Gorness especially. But in your opinion, what are some of the more underrated levels, and for what reason do you feel that? What levels do you think don't get enough love as they really should?
I feel like intro doesn't get enough love, to be honest, and that's just throwing that out there. Cult of Space, like those early levels from intro to Doom Hunter, are really good and some of my faves, and you just don't have the full kit. So like, you don't have the full kit, and it doesn't have the full AI roster. So when you go back and replay them, you're just dominating if you've got the full kit unlocked. And if you play them the first time, you're limited. So, but they're really, really good experiences. Like, I think Cult of Space just ages like fine wine. The more you play Cult of Space, the better you get at it. All of the skill-based traversals that you have to solve, and you just do them better and better and better the more you play it. Same with Doom Hunter, dude. And the guys behind those stuff, Rich Eastwood, Nick Dunbeck, Luis, James, Selin did the combat, like just Brandon Souders. I mean, like, there's just the A team of designers and level designers and artists, just everybody. And it's just a really great showcase for their work. And I love those maps. So I think that first act doesn't get enough love simply because of where it is in the experience,
Yeah, to quote you, those are levels that are dying for master levels. I played the the mod for Doom Hunter base, and it instantly became one of my favorite levels.
Yeah, that's actually a good call. We got to look into that. Yeah, that would be a good one.
So I'm actually going to end episode 2 here. I talked with Hugo Martin for about 2 hours, so in the final episode, which will hopefully be out within a day or so, we talk about Hugo Martin's transition from the filming to gaming industry, how he got adjusted at id Software going from films to games, whether video game adaptations have a spot in films, and what that medium can do to benefit or hurt a gaming franchise in terms of telling a specific story. We talk about the backlash from Tag 1 and Tag 2 changes and expectations, how Hugo dealt with that on a personal level, and how the team at id Software dealt with the community lighting itself on fire, and how they've learned moving forward, because Hugo's considering of bringing a change to the base game of Doom Eternal, but he actually wants to throw it out there in the community before he does it. So in that video, we're also going to talk about what that change is and whether or not they should go through with it. But until then, massive thank you to community manager Joshua Boyle for reaching out and putting this together, and of course Hugo Martin for taking the time out of his day to sit down and talk to me.